Hey folks, how you doing? Kambotrout here with Real All American Fishing. Butch, say hi.
What's going on, guys?
So for today's video, what we're gonna do is run you through the basic lure classes you're gonna need this spring for snakehead, because we're not far off. So to kick things off, we're gonna start with topwater frogs.
All right, so the first frog I got here is Scum Frogs Trophy Series. The reason why I like throwing these is they got this weight on the back of that frog, keeps the frog sitting with the hooks in the water, and your hookup ratio goes through the roof with that happening. Now, most style frogs, when they hit the top of the water, they'll sit parallel, and the hooks are all the way up top here. Snakehead have smaller mouths, and they hit from underneath. It's easier for them if the frog's sitting at that 45. Now, we're also, our sponsor, Acor, his frogs do the same thing. So, like I said, having that hook in the water already increases your percentage of hookup just by throwing these kinds of frogs. Now, there's also these, made by Scum Frog again, but this is a launch frog. The body style, it's a little bit heavier, a little bit bigger weight on the back. You could throw it a little bit further, go through thicker cover. Here's a example of the body size differences. They are much heavier, but it also increases your casting ability.
Now, as Butch said, aside from the weight that you have here in the back, that helps it sit in the water at an angle for those increased hookups. With both of these frogs, the Acor, and this is the Scum right here, launch frog,
Yep.
You can see, I'm gonna try to get these in front of the camera, how the hooks themselves are angled upward. If you ever get a frog straight out of the pack that does not have its hooks with an upward angle, you need to bend them slightly upward and slightly outward from the body of the lure. So slightly up and slightly out. If you're having a lot of issues with your hookup ratio on your topwater frogs, there's a good chance that the cause of it is not having those hooks at the right angle. Now be careful, don't bend it too far. You bend it too far, you're gonna take away so much of the weedness capacity that you can't really cast it through thick cover anymore. But you do wanna have that angle up slightly. And here's another one that falls in that same category. I got a couple of them to show you actually. So here's another one here called the soft bird. And again, you see that weight in the back with the hooks slightly angled upward. It's crucial. And I guess the last ones for that category would be right here. Is gonna be your snake charmers. And this is gonna be one that you really wanna have in your arsenal this year, because guess what's coming out of the woodwork this year? The cicadas. It's a cicada year. It's a, what is it, 13 or 17 year cycle? Right?
17 years.
17 years. That's a great imitator for cicadas, and with the way that snakehead eat insects, because they do, they're actually very big insectivores. Make sure you have some of those imitations for the cicadas out there so you can match that hatch. So I think that covers, oh, one more, go ahead, yep.
Speaking of the heavy cover in that early spring topwater bite, I love using the popper style frogs. Gives you a little bit more of noise going through the water. This one's made by Spro. It's the bonsai frog. I will throw a bead in front of it because, as you can see, it's got a lip right around it. That lip will catch when those pads start to come up, and if you go in the deep stuff, the sticks and the twit, all that kind of stuff will try to catch it and, you know, sink it and all kinds of crazy stuff. So if you throw like a little bead right in front of it, it pushes that stuff out. It gives it a little bit more weedless effect. Very key when they're hitting topwater, but they're not hitting topwater, if that makes sense. So you can trigger a strike with these.
Yep.
With the noise from the popping, it going through. I absolutely love popping frogs in that early spring topwater bite.
It's also good for off-color water because you're looking at that extra sound attracting quality that you're going to get with that concave mouth. Mm-hmm. So I think that probably covers the topwater frogs and mice. Like we also have the more charmers here that are actually mouse imitations. But the next class I think we'll cover is going to be your buzzbaits and your buzz frogs. So right here is when we have put the Slayer buzzbait. This is the buzz frog variety right here. I also have some custom made buzzbaits. You've been following my channel for a while. You've probably seen a lot of times. My buddy Jamie makes those, but unfortunately doesn't sell them. I'm low-key trying to talk him into it. But The keys you want when you're dealing with a buzz bait or a buzz frog, whatever class you're using, is really you want to have it be pretty light. You want it to be durable, but you also want it to be light, because the best luck I've had with snakehead fishing is slow rolling it, and you can't slow roll it and keep it on top if it's too heavy. Now, if you've seen the videos over in Thailand where they're chasing like Toman, the giant snakehead, they love super fast presentations. Northern snakehead don't like that. Northern snakehead like a slower presentation. So whatever buzzbait you go with, make sure you can slow roll that puppy.
This one here is an SS Custom buzzbait. It's the swinging head one. Like I said, I'm not a buzzbait aficionado by any means, but this one's got that double counter rotation blade on it. It's super light. As Steven just said, that slow presentation, even with that one, killer. I mean, absolutely killer. I've watched him destroy fish right in front of me with a buzzbait.
I love a buzzbait bite. I guess along those same lines, I mean, I've already shown you these, but that's a similar, like one way that you can work the charmers is with that kind of buzzbait type action. You just do a slow roll retrieve. Now, the charmers won't make as much noise as a buzzbait will, but it's essentially the same kind of presentation. And I think for our next lure class, we're going to be going into inline spinners and spinnerbaits.
All right, there's that one.
All right. So this is the SS, and it's seen some work. All right, this lure's seen some work. This is the SS Custom Baby Cobra. That's the favorite spinnerbait that I've thrown for snakehead. And if you've seen, I think it's my West Side PB video, I was throwing the SS Custom spinnerbait that day, and it served me really well. Snakeheads do love spinnerbaits, folks. It's a great lure to throw for them.
I will say this, a lot of people throw spinnerbaits when it's windy out, or you get a massive cloud cover that rolls through. The snakehead seemed the key on the blades. I had so many, that's why that blade looks like the way it does. Because it's definitely been hit multiple times. I mean, missed by trees and stuff like that. But, I mean, I got short struck a lot on this. If you throw a trailer on the back of it, that's when I started catching more and more of them on there. And this is the SS Customs inline spinner. This one, he actually makes with gold blade as well. I actually requested the white one. Absolutely love this bait. When it's windy and you can't go topwater, absolutely love it for as my search bait, trying to find out where they're sitting.
Now, if you've seen my videos, you also know I like throwing a MEPS. If I'm throwing a MEPS, I usually like to have the hook dressed. Well, I've also thrown the Comet Minnow, but for a blade size, I usually use number 3 or number 4. I have some buddies who throw number 5 or bigger. But inline spinners, especially in the early spring, are a dynamite lure for snakehead.
That's like, this is right here is like his MEPS. It's also SS Custom. It's got that big treble on the back of it.
Heavy duty trouble.
Heavy duty.
Even snakehead aren't bending that.
If you bend these, you're on something big.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, that I've watched them destroy them on the MEPS, and for me, I've never really had a whole lot of luck with the MEPS, but the SS Custom I have, so I know they work.
So we've covered topwater frogs and mice. We've covered your buzz baits and your buzzbait type lures. Now we've covered spinner baits and inline spinners. I think it's time for the soft plastics.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
So, as you can see here with this shiny assortment, these are ones that Butch has made personally and dubbed Hollywood on behalf of me. I didn't choose that name for me. He chose that name for me. Let's be clear. But you have your ribbit style baits or your rage tail frogs, similar style, put it that way, and then you have your actual swim baits. I love all of these. I've used all of these. I've had great luck on all of these. I'm partial more than anything to the swim bait, but Butch has his own way of using these ribbit frogs. I've always used ribbit frogs really as a topwater lure. Butch uses these on a weighted swim bait hook. I'll let him tell you about that, because I still haven't cracked the code on it as to how he does it. Mine always ends up covered in gunk from the bottom, but I've seen him slay on it. Absolutely slay on it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, these with the ribbit and the swim bait, just a 4/0 Gamakatsu 1/8 ounce. That's it. That's all you need for it. And all I do is just a slow roll back. I let it fall, tap the bottom, slow roll back. that's it. There's nothing else to it. I don't do anything crazy. Rod tip's always up, so I watch it. You can actually see in my videos where they hit, and it'll bring my rod tip down.
It's awesome to see. Check out those videos,
yeah,
man.
after
You
that,
see a rod just pop.
Yeah. After that, and I set hook like a madman, it goes crazy after that.
Yeah, dude.
Sometimes they go flying, sometimes they stay down.
Now, I've seen him slay on this thing throughout the year, but the time of year that I most like to throw the swim baits is usually going to be early spring or around the spawn. Now, I'll throw it throughout the year, but the best days I've had for swim baits have definitely been early spring and through the spawn. Have we covered all the lure classes that quickly?
No.
Oh, we didn't. We never said chatterbaits.
Yeah.
We never said chatterbaits.
Yeah.
If you're a snakehead fisherman, and this is a SS Custom here?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. Now, when it comes to snakehead fishing, you need to have chatterbaits in your arsenal. You need to have chatterbaits in your arsenal. The amount of flash and vibration this thing puts off and the way it makes the skirt dance as it does it is just, it's incredible. And whether it's early spring and you're bouncing it off timber because the submerged aquatic vegetation hasn't really grown up yet, or you're bouncing it off of an inside of pad fields, I don't care where you use this thing, chatterbait is a lure that pretty much works year round. And some days they won't want anything else. It's a phenomenal lure. You need to have chatterbaits in your arsenal. Absolutely need to.
So I did have it. Side note on the chatterbaits, I do make a trailer for them. This guy right here is a 3.75 swim bait, which is actually the perfect size to use as a trailer. Now, some guys don't use trailers on their chatterbaits, some do. I always try to put a little bit of something extra on it just to give it a little extra kick. Normally they don't. I haven't had a whole lot of bad luck with short strikes on a chatterbait because usually that vibration is just driving it crazy and they slam it. It's not a bait that I throw often, but when I do, when I'm trying to search for where they're sitting, either be on ledges, out on the grass, in front of the grass line. It's a good search bait as well when you're trying to find out where they're sitting and then drawing that strike.
Now, the one thing I saw Butch grab that I thought we should touch on just to close things out here, trailer hooks. When I use a buzzbait, I use a trailer hook. I don't always use it with the chatterbait, but I do often use it. Same thing with the spinnerbait. Spinnerbait I almost always do. I recommend using the trailer hook because it can get really frustrating on those days where they are short striking and you feel the hit and you watch the bubbles come up from the snakehead hit, but there's no fish on your hook. And you go out and have a bad day with one too many short strikes, you'll start using these trailer hooks. I do highly recommend them.
Oh yeah, like I said, I was against all the trailer hooks. I thought it was just going to be something else for me to snag and get caught up on. But then I started using the baits the spinners and stuff like that, and started getting short strike after short strike after short strike. And eventually you get irritated with it. So you put that trailer hook on and your hookup ratio goes through the roof. Even if they're short striking, you still have that extra little bit of a chance of it coming back and getting it. And everybody knows snakehead has hard faces. It's definitely 2 hooks better than 1.
Whatever hooks you're going to use, whatever lures you're going to use, when you set the hook on the snakehead, put your strength into it. Because they have a very hard mouth relative to something like a largemouth or a smallmouth and most other species of fish you're going to chase. So drive that hook home. But I think at this point, we've covered all the main lure groups.
Yeah, okay.
Now, what I want you all to do now is go subscribe to Snakehead Outlaws on YouTube. We'll leave a link in the description as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Because what we're going to be doing, each one of our Snakehead Outlaws Elite team members, and you see Butch has his gear on right now. Mine's in the wash, I know, I'm ashamed. But the bottom line is, what we're going to be doing, it's going to be me, Butch, Pat, Elmer, Joel, and Jesse. We're going to break down how we like to use each one of these lures, when we like to use them, how we work them, and all the ins and outs and details that you need to know to use them most effectively. Those videos are going to be coming out, unless something goes wrong technically, those videos are going to be coming out in February so you can get your stockpile of lures ready and know how to use them come March when the snakehead bite should start heating up, weather depending. So make sure you subscribe to Snakehead Outlaws on YouTube so you get all those videos for details on how to use these lures and when to use them. All right, folks, we covered a lot of issues, a lot of details. If you still have questions, hit us up in the comments section.
Thank you guys.
All right, folks.